So this is 3.5 then.
Yes.
And she has just jumped right in. She's fitting in with the role. At least this is my observation after 3.5 weeks. Fitting in with the role, fitting in with the organization. She brings to us a tremendous amount of experience and knowledge, and she is making use of that. I've been impressed with her ability to start working with staff and relating to staff, meeting with them. So again, welcome, Lisa. It's been a long time coming.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that very nice welcome. Thank you all for having me at the committee today, at the subcommittee today. It's nice to see you again and officially meet you today. So I thought that I know you've all seen my resume and heard a little bit about me, but I thought that I would talk about maybe just a few key points of experience that I've had in my career that I'm bringing with me here to NOACA. I don't know if you're aware, but the first 10 or so years I spent my career in the area of government finance. I once had a professor during my MPA um, schooling that said, if you can understand the budgets, you will understand where the priorities are and and how everything is structured. And I took that to heart. That was a great, great professor that I had and learned a lot from her. So I went into the Office of Budget and Management at Cuyahoga County and learned a great deal there. Learn, that perspective of fiscal responsibility and kind of program management and how all of that worked was just really, really educational for me. And in fact, it was my financial expertise that actually got me invited to apply to my first position in an HR office, and that was at the County Human Resources. At the time, they were looking for somebody who understood the county finances because they were looking to take their health care benefits self-insured, and that can be such a financial proposition. And so I was successful competing for that position, went in and we did take the benefits self-insured, and we in fact built a consortium in Cuyahoga County where many municipalities and other organizations can buy their health care through there. And I learned a ton during that. Also put in a couple of systems there, SAP, MyHR, and really, when you do that kind of thing, you kind of learn you've got to seamlessly find, the compliance and the systems and the programming that work for everybody, and you've got to, be able to kind of lead everybody through that kind of thing. So, those were important lessons. When the Cuyahoga County voters then decided for 2010 to move from the commissioner form of government to the county executive county council form of government, Ed Fitzgerald came in, and I, was very pleased that, he offered me a promotion to Deputy Director of Human Resources. And I tell you, it probably was one of the biggest educations I ever got because, at that time we had to take many agencies that were formerly their own elected officials with, their own compensation plans, their own policies and procedures, their own work week hours, their own accruals for sick time and vacation time and all of that. And we had to guide all of those fearful people into one system, right? So, without real and without costing them, the sick and vacation and everything they had worked very hard achieving, so that was certainly not only that, but we created the first ever personnel review commission. We, really put together also, and this was one of the, I think, best things that I was involved with was we really put together performance planning and performance evaluation then for the county. And we took, the performance plan and really showed how that was tied to the county goals, and then put evaluation on that. And that was really kind of the first time that we ever tied that together for county employees. So, during all of this, you really learned what it took to be trustworthy with employees, to have them show trust, and for you to show that leadership that they could trust in while you are changing absolutely everything on them. And so that was a huge education. So I remained in the county for years after that, and then went into CMSD. They were putting in their Workday ERP system, and at that time, they were a little bit behind. They were looking for somebody like me who could come in, who had done system change before. They also had never had a compensation or a classification plan or policies and procedures manual for their non-bargaining employees. They're so heavily bargained, but there were a good 1,600 employees that were non-bargaining who also needed this. So during my time with them, put those things in place and really, learned a lot from that. So that was really great experience. And then moved on to Hiram College, where I really began their first ever employee relations practice. They had not really an HR office. They had a payroll office, and they were having some issues, as many small colleges have, and they're again having the same issues. So during that time, I went in and helped them establish employee relations. And unfortunately, it was up to me to help them to have a reduction in force of their tenured faculty at that time, which was really not something that occurs very often, and very, very, volatile time for a lot of folks. And so we led through that, and also, also did a little bit of facilities work for them, helping them, with maintenance vendors and the like, and saving money there. During these times, we also were looking at retirement plans and healthcare plans, and I did help to found a small college consortium for buying healthcare here in the state of Ohio. So, and then the Cleveland Orchestra came calling, and, really the Cleveland Orchestra was having a very hard time culturally. They were experiencing employee survey results where they really knew they needed an agent of change. And so I went in there and really worked with them to change leadership structure, management structure, leadership management practice, and a lot of different things like that to really help with that cultural problem that they were having, really turn that around. Formed an employee engagement committee, taught those different levels, kind of how to liaison with each other to be productive, and this sort of thing, and after 5 years there, I left with the highest ever employee engagement survey results, and I'm very proud of that. And I went to consulting and became a certified Workday ERP administrator, implementer. And, but I tell you, I really missed being in an organization. So a lot of us, and I have a lot of friends who are in the consulting world who love it. And then I have talked with others like me who get into the consulting world and feel like you don't have that anchor anymore, because we are mission-driven people. And we, if there's one thing that is going to anchor my world, it's, what mission am I doing for for the region, or what mission am I doing here in life? And so this, that was important for me. So, when I heard NOACA was looking, uh, I was very interested in this role because this region has always meant so much to me. I grew up in Lorain County and have lived in Lorain County and Cuyahoga County, and visit the wineries in Lake County and my friends out there, and rode horses in Geauga County, and worked close to there at Hiram County, or at Hiram College. But so I have a great love for uh, this region and our lake. So I'm a lake girl. So I'm just thrilled. So I guess I come to NOACA, and I want you to know kind of what I visualize my role as. I really visualize my role as, helping to ensure that HR and culture and, organizational development strategies not only support, the employees and the leadership, but the end result, the outcomes, of the mission that we have here at NOACA. So it's tying all those things together. I always say that culture and especially in a diverse and really an organization that does a lot of different kinds of work from division to division. It's a million little pieces. And so aligning all of that is kind of an art that I really love putting together. So, yeah. So that's a little bit about me.
Lisa, that's perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. Before we go on, do you want to give an update on the score? 2-1 still. All right,
Oh, 2
that's
to
not
1.
good.
It's the top of the, yes, and it's the top of the ninth.
So,
Oh, my.
so we asked, Grace and I wanted Lisa to kind of talk a little bit about her background, and obviously during the interview process, we dug into a lot more of what she did, but she gave kind of a nice overview, and what we were excited about is that she does bring a lot of experience to the table, and I'm comfortable saying out of everyone that we talked to, and the resumes that we saw, I don't know that any resume compared to the experience
Oh,
that you
thank
had.
you.
So we appreciate your interest in NOAC, and we appreciate you coming on board. And what we wanted to do today was just give Lisa an opportunity to kind of say hi to this subcommittee. And I know that you're working with Grace and the team to kind of focus on next steps from an HR perspective. So
Yeah.
any questions for the subcommittee or Grace at this time?
I think that I think that whenever I speak to board members, I am really interested in your perspective on what you think that could really, me paying attention to in this role could really benefit NOACA. So if you have any words of wisdom of that, I would love to hear them.
And we can do that now, and we can do that in the privately as well. But go ahead.
That's a unique question, and I think this group is a very unique group. You have 48 board members.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot.
Yes.
A director, you have employees. We always are looking for employees. So it's a unique position, and I think this is a piece of the puzzle that we've been missing to bridge that gap.
Yeah.
It shouldn't fall on Grace to have to do all of that.
Right.
And so I think when we met as a subcommittee, it was like the first thing we identified is we need, not just a part-time, we want a full-time HR person to be able to pull all those different things together. And this is ever changing. We live and die by the federal government with how much money they're going to give, and what we're going to get out of them. How do we, assess the needs of Northeast Ohio? Who has the biggest need? Who has, and I mean, it's just it's a big machine.
Yeah.
And India could tell you, buses were 500,000, 600,000. Now they're over 1 million.
Yeah.
And they're giving us less money.
Wow.
So those are things that we face. And to have someone, and I appreciate your resume. It sounds like you touched on so many different areas that
Mhm.
apply here. They really do. And I'm excited to see the future. And I think we can focus down into what we need to do here. And ours is just unwrapping the package that we get from the government and how do we best deal with that. So I'm curious, who'd you work with at Hiram? Who's the president?
So Lori Varlata was the president when I was there
Okay.
for those 2 years, right? I missed, oh, I'm sorry,
Tom Chipman.
Tom, yes, Tom Chema. I missed him by this much.
Okay.
So, yeah.
We have Jen Schuler at Lake Erie College now. She was from Hiram.
So
Mhm.
she was the director of development when I was at Hiram. So Lake Erie College is very lucky to have Jen Schuler. She
Love her.
is a whiz. And I have, since leaving, spoken to lots of my friends at Hiram, and, their development has been kind of hobbled without her. So, yeah, they're missing her.
I know if you need to stay in Lake County, she's got this big old mansion that they let her use. So
Wow.
thank you.
Thank you.
Hop in real quick. So nice to meet you in person. Heard a lot about you, and I appreciate the detail. So I'm a note taker, so I was like scribbling as you were talking. I would agree. The things that you mentioned, I think resonate
Mhm.
with NOACA and really resonate with a lot of the things that we as a committee have been talking about. It's great to be able to see that you're here to kind of help uplift, the not just the community, but the organization.
Mhm.
I'm a big kind of believer that the actions have to tie in with the goals. So when you mentioned that, I think it was, you were talking about the county, and just being able to make sure that things match up so that all boats rise together. That's something that I know Grace is excited about and the board is excited about. And then being a change agent is super, it's hard, no matter how big the group is. So the only thing I was going to ask is, I don't think we can ask about observations because it's too early for all of that, but the size of this agency, just thoughts on, because you've worked at a lot of different areas. So you mentioned 1,600 people versus a smaller
Mhm.
college setting. How do you kind of, not rank, but how do you kind of score NOACA as far as being able to get things done? And, we say we've got 48 board members, but the actual staff is probably not that far off of the board.
It's a 1-to-1 ratio.
Yeah, that's a little
Yeah.
scary too, so just thoughts on maybe that kind of dynamic, being able to see it through.
Yeah, it's so interesting. When I was at Cuyahoga County, that was HR for 6,000 employees. If you, on the healthcare side, it was more like 12,000 employees. And, Hiram College was about, I don't know, 300-ish when you count in, seasonal and all of that. Same way at the orchestra, count seasonal and it's upwards of 300. When I went into Hiram, I was alone there as well and built that all by myself, and was able to bring on an intern and borrow a payroll person from finance and that kind of thing. But what's interesting is you do all the same work, if it's 12,000 employees or if it's 47. You're doing all of the same work. So, so it's interesting. I don't feel like I do anything different for a small employee body than a big employee body. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Any other questions? John, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for explaining your history, and I'm glad it's so very diverse in so many different areas because that's what NOACA will bring in also. You mentioned if you understand budget, you understand where the priorities are. Have you had the opportunity to look over the budgets for the last couple of years?
I have not looked over the last couple of years of NOACA budget, but I certainly have looked at this one. Yes.
All right, where are the priorities? I know it is a lot, and of course, Grace is guiding a lot of that. And then you mentioned developing trust during change during one of your your many different
Yes.
opportunities. I mean, I think this is where we are today here with the HR subcommittee and why we're here is because you're going to be developing that trust
Yes.
with through change. And I think there's going to be additional change coming also. I mean, that's what this organization needs to do to keep growing. You can't just, you need some pruning at times and moving ahead. There's governance actions going on right now. So, of course, you sat through that meeting. And then, you know, having a culture in a diverse organization is something that you enjoy. So I think you're going to enjoy your time here. And although it's smaller, it's still, you're going to be tied up quite a bit, I'm sure,
Mm-hmm.
you know, regardless. As far as healthcare goes, I don't think you have much to worry about. Is that right, Grace?
We have a terrific health plan through Lorain County, so we
Yes.
are all taken care of.
Certainly. And I was just talking with Tanya Becraft this morning, and yeah, good team out there.
Right, yes, we're working through that right now so we can get open enrollment going here in the next couple weeks, hopefully.
Yep, yep. Very good. Thank you. Thank you.
So I just want to add that, you know, there were a few items that we wanted to accomplish with the HR subcommittee. And, you know, one was we worked with Grace and the executive committee to come up with a performance appraisal process. And I know that that has been implemented. And then you know, we really wanted to bring on an HR professional that would be here full-time and start to put together what that HR function's gonna look like, you know, going forward. So we've accomplished that too. So the next question really for the HR subcommittee, and I've talked to Grace about this a little bit, is what is our role going forward? Are we an ad hoc committee that, you know, kind of comes together when it makes sense and when there's a priority we're trying to achieve? Or is this subcommittee going to become more of a reoccurring committee that is always going to be present in the organization? I don't have an answer to that yet, but obviously open for suggestions from anyone sitting here today. But certainly something that I think we need to talk about as we look to the future. Go ahead, John.
Yes, last meeting I did mention that meeting the 3 requirements that were first initiated in the subcommittee for why we're here. I think the board of directors had something else added or had talked about as far as the direction we go, as far as I've got to get back and recall the notes I may have taken. But you know, I did ask about at what point are we going to either end or, again, as you said, go to an ad hoc. Always be available, but, you know, just maintain that. And maybe something, I mean, once we do get a quorum to recommend to the executive committee, maybe to see what we do.
Yeah, to your point, that my recommendation probably will be, you know, we'll certainly want everyone's input, is more of an ad hoc committee and comes together as needed. But, you know, I do think we've achieved a lot of what we set out to do. And I think we should be proud of that as part of the subcommittee, that we did what we wanted to accomplish, at least for this, you know, first year. And, you know, maybe it's something that, you know, we say again, you know, if there's something that comes up from you, Grace, where it's something that is needed, where the HR subcommittee is needed, then we call that committee to action at that time versus having regular meetings or being part of the regular schedule. So we can talk through that. Obviously, there's no need to officially end the meeting. Is there any other items that anyone wants to talk about unofficially?
Lisa, I know that when we spoke about this meeting, you did have a few other things you wanted to say. Since we are here, if you are so inclined, you may share some of your other thoughts too.
You know, sure. Thank you, Grace. You know, I had some thoughts on kind of what is a plan for 90-day goals and then kind of, by 1 year goals. And I would love to share them with you. And I think that really they come down to two different points. And the first one would be the alignment of policies and procedures and to form a strong culture, to help, form a bedrock of that. And involved in that is, a review of policies and procedures, which I have, which is now ongoing. A review of the compensation plan that I know was recently adopted. I am noticing that there are some areas in the compensation plan and in the policies and procedures handbook as well that would benefit from clarification. And maybe in the compensation plan, particularly maybe some more completeness and consistent instructions to consistently apply that. And in both cases, policies and procedures and compensation needs to be presented to be very fair, very understood that it's fair and useful for the employees. I'm also looking at the performance planning and performance evaluation process and, being sure to make a really meaningful connection between the work plan of NOACA, the performance planning, and the performance evaluation. So that reflects to every single employee, how they are a part of this great mission. And also, though, the big number two is the alignment of management practice and leadership practice here in order to be another bedrock of that strong culture. So, oh, I'm so sorry. I meet with every single employee. Now, I try to do at least twice a year. And this is, again, no matter what size the organization is. So I think here at NOACA, I might be able to do this 3 times a year. And this doesn't include the drop in and, and see how you're doing, or if somebody drops by my office. I am making an appointment for a one-on-one with each and every employee at least twice a year. And the reason why is because I want to get to know what their perspectives are. I want to get to know what they think. I want to get to know how they communicate, how they learn, where they come from, all of the lenses through which they are viewing the world. I like to ask folks where they grew up. I like to ask, where do you live? Where do you live? Where have you lived? Where'd you go to college? These are all clues as to how this person is viewing information and work and everything else in life. So I like to get to know all of those perspectives. And then I like to work with leadership and management to say, okay, let's adopt a management practice that we can all agree to that is going to build the best culture. And we are going to consistently practice this, and we're going to agree to this, and we're going to train on it and become developed on it, and we're going to let the employees know that this is what we're going to do, and this is the professional expectation here. And when you do that, like you said, it grows that trust. It provides a basis for stabilization of that culture. It includes looking at, skill and ability in management practice and all of that as well. So that's kind of the number two. So in the first 90 days, I'm doing a lot of reviewing, a lot of absorbing, a lot of learning. I am also, every employee that I have a one-on-one with, and I'm almost halfway through the 43, I think, employees that we have right now. I'm actually saying, okay, teach me a little bit about your work too. I was just I was just before this meeting in a meeting with an employee, and I was saying, tell me what it is you do with this transportation model. Tell me what it is you know. So, because that's really important, you know. We can't begin to know what works until we know what we're applying it to. So these are the things I'm doing in the first 90 days. And by a year, I want to have policies and procedures, compensation, performance planning, and performance evaluation that is that the, you know, our good and rational professionals here can apply and utilize to get the best culture here and to get the best end product. And in addition, it's maintaining that professional practice and that leadership practice. And as you alluded to, Mr. Gall, it is organic. The minute we think that we've got it all down and we've got the right policies and procedures and we've got the right plans and we've got the right leadership and we've got them doing the right things, and then it's going to change because it's organic, and everything will eventually change in an organic organization. So that's that. And so changing with it is something that, you know, then we will be focusing on a year and 2 years, 3, 4, 5, you know, down, all the years down the road. So, so anyway, that's a little bit about what I've been up to and what I will remain up to. Thank you.
If I could just add one thing, thank you for that. So I just want to throw this out here, and I know we're just kind of conversing about different options and all of this. Eventually, I'm sure we'll be told what's going to happen by the executive committee at the recommendation of Grace. I'm curious to know too, not to put you on the spot, Grace, but to put you on the spot a little bit, since we're just having a talk and watching the game conversation. At this, I would be curious to know if you think it's helpful for us to stick around. And when I say stick around, I think the ad hoc might be I think that's right, but it might be a little too soon because you're not here a month yet. And I think in order for us to really do what we said we were going to do, for me, and I think for a lot of us, it's more than just check the box. And just because we did the first 3 things doesn't mean that you're getting the most out of us to be able to make sure that the 90-day plus plan matches what we originally said we were going to help you not just survive as a CEO, but to be successful. And to me, I think we just got to make sure that we beta test everything a little bit to make sure that everything is matching up. It sounds like you are amazing if you've gotten through 43 people. I think what Lisa, right? Yeah. What Lisa has laid out makes a lot of sense. Maybe we think about maybe meeting quarterly instead of monthly to be able to kind of give you the runway to do your thing and give you the runway to do your thing, and then meet back and just make sure that we also we are here to support what we agreed as a committee with you as a CEO to push forward in front of the full board and the executive committee, so that we're not just checking the box, but we're saying, hey, we did these things. Yes, we got to the point where we have you and we've got your performance goals and all of this, but we're executing on the plan, and here's what the 90, 60, 120-day, 360 looks like. And that way we have 4 meetings to be able to kind of reinforce what we said we were going to do. And there's a traction to that you can then present at your annual review that shows that you in fact did all of the things that we agreed to do in the beginning. And then we become an ad hoc because it's battle tested that we're not necessary, you know? So I just wanted to offer that.
Yeah, I think that that's a worthwhile approach to consider, where we are maybe meeting quarterly as a subcommittee and looking to continue to monitor the HR function and the agency. And then maybe when we do feel that we have, have what we, like you said, battle tested, then we can perhaps go to ad hoc.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree, and that's similar to the conversation that we had. We are going to probably have our next meeting, and you're going to kind of figure out when that should be, but it's probably gonna fall in line with the quarterly meetings that are out on the schedules now. So we can work on that. And then,
We do have a opening, actually, where the Equity Subcommittee used to be. It is now a blank. So that is a nice place to perhaps put it in, right into the schedule.
I like that. So let's do that. And then the one thing that I want to make sure we're careful on is that we, again, I think certainly the subcommittee, there's a lot that we can do, but I still want to make sure that there's this, I don't want to have a conflict with what I really do think the executive committee should be doing in some of this and what the HR subcommittee should be doing. And, then again, that's just my perspective that at the end of the day, the executive committee, there really are things that I think they should oversee and be involved in. And, we're kind of more project driven. Not that can't change if that's something that we want to discuss and executive committee's on board with, but I would just caution us to be careful not to get too overreaching that would create conflicts with the executive committee, I guess is my thought. I don't know what you guys think on that.
So I see what you're saying there, but I think, and at least for a year, I think Lisa deserves our support, as does Grace. Even if we sit here and listen to what they have to say, what direction are they meeting our expectations that we have in our mind? Maybe they might change our mind. But those are things I think, to me, it's kind of like, you send your kid out to school, you think, hey, have a good time, don't bother
Sure.
anymore. We're always going to answer that call. And so I think, and then we go to ad hoc as Lisa may want to call the ad hoc.
Sure.
Grace may want to call an ad hoc, say, hey, we got an issue that we haven't had before. Let's put it in front of you guys, get your thoughts on it. And then it would go to executive committee. But executive committee looks at so many things.
Sure.
We're going to focus on this.
I like what you said. The word support is really important, I think, both for myself and for Lisa.
Yes.
I would also throw out that, again, I'm just throwing everything out. Might as well just talk about it now. I think it's important because I do think there's some confusion sometimes that we're also an investigative body of some sort. And I think it's important to note that that is not our function. We don't
Yeah.
do that. Yes, thank God.
Right.
We have, an HR person, we have legal counsel, we have, again, even the executive committee. So, I agree with everything that has been said. I think the idea of going quarterly makes sense, being around for enough time to your guys's, both of your points. We don't want to do something and then just say, good luck. That's certainly not what we want to do. But I did think it was, at least we should start talking about what does that look like going forward. I think this was a good discussion to get everybody kind of focusing in the same direction.
Maybe we, and I agree, I get it. And I think this kind of the devil's advocate conversation is really good because we want to make sure we're not missing anything. I think we all agree. We want to make sure that you guys are successful. We don't want to be a nuisance. We're not the HR audit team, right? We're the HR. Does it make sense for us to maybe, I don't know if it comes from us, to draft up or something to present to the executive to say, this is how we think we can be supportive moving forward? Let us know what you think, you know what I mean? Or do we ask them to tell, I hate to say the opposite, because sometimes I think that does take an investigative tone when that's not really what we're trying to do. We're just trying to be a sounding board to make sure that things are moving how we envision them. And then if there is a pivot, then I think we are that support arm to talk about it here versus going straight to a different body, which may not have been part of the original planning. So then you have a harder time to be able to discuss a pivot that may come up right away or a tweak or something like that. I think you've got a little bit more of a support in a smaller group setting to kind of noodle it and then be able to move it forward. But maybe the idea is that we just draft something up really generic and say, hey, this is how we envision moving forward. You got extended a year. To me, it makes sense that we would kind of see it through to just serve as that support. I don't know if that
Yeah,
kind of
I
solves
like-
it.
I
And
like
close
this-
out the first half, so you can say, hey, we did what we were supposed to. do.
Right. I like the suggestion of let's make that recommendation. And so I agree with you on that. I like that. So how about we work
Just-
together? Go ahead.
Just a reminder, because it's been a minute, you all did adopt a charter back in February.
Yes.
And so I don't know if you want to and it was approved, but it hasn't gone up to executive committee and therefore board approval. So if it sounds like we can either revisit that, and then move it up the chain, to now that you've determined regular schedule, regular meetings, we can move forward with that, but just a suggestion, since there is a charter that lays out goals and objectives and that sort of thing.
Maybe we can kind of do some, I'm happy to work with Grace and India if you'd like to participate too. That'd be great.
Yeah, I
We
figured as much.
And then for the next meeting, we could bring it
Revisit
to the group and
We
say,
can bring it back.
here's, and then here's the recommendation, see if everyone's on board with that.
Yeah.
I think that's what our goal should be next, is to look at our charter. Is this truly the path we need to go down next?
Right.
And then I think Lisa just gave us the greatest outline that we could put up forth. She has a 90-day and a 1-year
Right.
issue. Even if we're here to support those goals. And how can we do that better? I mean, and, again, this leaves Grace and Lisa to drive the train rather than us bringing it forth.
I think that sounds good. Okay, so we'll work on that. And then are we comfortable? Do you know when the next, the diversity committee was going to be meeting?
December 5th,
So
I think is
everyone-
their
everyone- okay.
technically, what would their next meeting would have been.
December 5th? What do we think? Do we think that, are we comfortable with that?
I think that's good, because then maybe in the interim, if we need to look
Connect.
at the charter and just kind of, put something together, and it gives you time
Yes.
to be able to get to 60,
December
80
5th.
days. That
Yeah.
could work.
December 5th
That's
at
90
10.
days. I
90
believe,
days.
yeah.
Oh, then that
I
works.
began September 8th, so yeah, that's
Oh,
a
that's
Oh, well,
pretty
then
darn-
that-
really nice date. Yeah.
Okay, that works great. So December 5th?
Well, at 10 is when the previous meeting was, but if you just want to take that slot, but if
What day is
I
that?
think we did.
it's a Friday.
Friday at 10?
Yeah,
I would,
that's what I'd like to do, is just slip it back in, yeah.
are you okay with that? You guys okay with that time?
It works, because I was the original appointee, and then I delegated to Notoya, so it's on my.
On your
Okay.
calendar already.
Okay, perfect. Great. And then we'll work on, we'll take a look at the charter. We'll, incorporate some of Lisa's strategy as well and make some recommendations to this board first, and then we'll send that on to the executive committee and try to have all that kind of finalized December 5th when we have the meeting.
I'm going to ask one other thing, and I don't want to be, just curious, you mentioned it before, but it wasn't finalized. Are you moving toward virtual for this kind of thing, or is it always going to be in person, you think? Just curious.
I would
We'll
like to see
defer to
more.
legal.
Okay.
No, we discussed it at a governance committee meeting, and I walked away with the interpretation that the way it would have to be implemented just wasn't feasible right now for all the requirements we would have to have.
Who was looking at that? I'm sorry.
Governance
Governance
committee.
committee.
All right. Anything else? Anyone else have any other items? John, anything? Richard, anything? Indy, anything? Everyone good?
Thank you all
Lisa,
for your
great.
time today.
Yeah, good talking with
I
you.
appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody. I know it's hard to, get out and about, so appreciate everyone coming down. And this is important stuff, so thank you.
And the Guardians lost,
I was
unfortunately.
just gonna say, what's the update?
I'm so sorry to say.
That's a shame.
They had runners on scoring position at the bottom of the ninth, but
Is the first series is 5?
3.
Oh, 3? It goes 3 then?
Wild card is 3.
Oh, that's right. This is a wild card playing Detroit. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to try hard not to think that that's some sort of forbearance.
No,
My
I'm
first
going,
meet-
I'm going,
Yeah, and I'd like to reiterate what Mayor Costelli just said. I know that it's a lot of work to come here, to be prepared, to have discussions, to engage. But please know that I appreciate it very, very much, and it is making a difference.
Thank you, Grace. All right, everybody. Well, enjoy your afternoons.
Thank you.